Hi friends, it's Mary or Hard Left Yogi with Flip Your Dog Yoga. So let's talk about senior and prenatal yoga. Why am I wrapping these into one little segment? So those of you who are in 200-hour teacher training, Yoga Alliance has made it to where these are things that you will learn about later on. So I am giving you a basic little rundown of how to safely deal with senior students in a yoga class or prenatal yoga students in your classes without going into depth and saying that you have that kind of certification. If you do want that kind of certification, you can get that through our continuing education workshops, and you can follow us and subscribe to our YouTube or Facebook channel, right? So let's talk about some of the do's and don'ts with seniors, and we'll incorporate the prenatal in. So this is just baseline stuff for those of you who are new to teaching or deciding being a prenatal or a senior, you decide you want to do yoga on your own at home. So the caveat is always listen to your own body. So women have been pregnant for years, seniors have been aging for years. Yeah, listening to your body is always going to be the rule. When I am teaching, say, uh, senior students, one of the things that I really look for, excuse me, cats was in the house and I've had a tickle in my throat all day. So when seniors come into my class, one of the things that you need to know about seniors is that their reaction time is a little less, their vision is a little less, their tactile system is a little less, and response time and balance is a little less than it was when they were 20 or 30. So when I am teaching active older adults, I tend to let them line up near the wall, or we do chair yoga, which I will do a whole little chair yoga class so you can see what it looks like later in the tutorials. Excuse me, promise it's not COVID. so, um, so whenever my senior students come into class, I also don't have the music really loud because hearing is down. I do not use Sanskrit. Not that I use a lot of Sanskrit anyway, because my southern dialect just abuses Sanskrit to no end. Anyway, so I don't have a lot of noise, a lot of chaos. I make sure their props are out of their way so they're not tripping over things. And I don't teach flow based or vinyasa based classes to older students. What do I mean by that? I don't do a plank, chaturanga, up dog, down dog for my 80-year-olds, right? I'm not swinging my foot through to lunge to come up to stand a warrior one and warrior two. You are basically in a senior class standing at the top of your mat in mountain pose and stepping back into postures, more like a Iyengar class. So those of you who are familiar with BKS Iyengar, he is the father of alignment, and he is very strict about you step into this pose. This is the alignment of your feet, and this is the way your body is moving, and this is where your arms are. And then you hold that posture just like that. You step out of the pose, and then you step into another pose, rather than where a vinyasa class links all of that almost like a dance. Your seniors aren't dancing, and really your pregnant people after about the 4th month probably aren't doing a whole lot of flow unless they were yogis prior, right? Seniors do not like getting up and down off the floor a whole lot either, which is another reason why vinyasa doesn't work as well. Does that mean that we don't get up and down off the floor? Well, yeah, if you're in an assisted living and stuff, a lot of times you'll find chair yoga is all you can do, that getting up and down off the floor is very difficult. At myself as a yoga instructor, and from my senior training and working with active older adults and everything that I've done for the last 20 years, I demand that my students get up and down off the floor at least twice throughout. Hopefully I can edit that out. Once or twice throughout a yoga class, because the moment that your mind decides that getting up and down off that floor is too hard and you're not going to do that anymore in your life, you don't have that much life left to go. They did a study, it was something like 7 years from the time that you decide getting up and down off the floor is too much before death. So 7 years to live. And the reason why that is that once you start cutting out things like that, you really start to cut out a lot of other activities that keep us alive, that keep us lively, and especially our active older adults are already craving touch and connection and community. And if they get to where they don't get up and down off the floor with their grandchildren, or they are so scared to go out somewhere because or do something because if they fall or can't get up or get out of the chair, they start to limit their life. Not that it's actually going to take you out, it's that mind body connection. So I do ask my seniors to get up and down off the floor. I keep the lighting in my classes. I do keep it a little bit lower than maybe some others that teach senior yoga, but I'm trying to work on the vestibular system. So I'm trying to really make that balancing system work more, because as you age, your balancing system really gets worse. So you can't get better at balance without balancing. So I can cross train you to be a better swimmer by teaching you breathing. I can cross train you to be a better runner by lifting weights or doing certain practices of yoga. I cannot make you a better balancer unless I have you balance. It's like the one thing that you can't cross train in your body. I don't care how strong your leg is. If you don't have balance and you don't practice that system, even the strongest leg is not going to have balance, right? So balance is something that you have to practice and your seniors have to practice. Common misconception about seniors and breaking hips: they do not break the hip after the fall. What happens is the hip tends to break and it causes the fall. So contrary to previous beliefs, we thought that they fell and broke the hip. It's actually in reverse. Just a little FYI. But we want to practice that with our seniors. We want to practice balance and movement and getting up and down off the chair. We also want to practice a lot of breathing techniques, because these muscles, like any other muscle, if it's not used, and as we grow older, we lose strength in these muscles. And guess what? Your lung muscle, the lungs and the muscles surrounding them are no different as it ages. The lungs become, if you don't have a good pranayama practice for your life, the lungs are not nearly as supple and the muscles are not nearly as strong. Another thing with my seniors and my prenatal, and this goes for really anybody, is looking for signs of stress or distress, right? So when I'm looking at my seniors, I'm looking for coherentness. So I'm looking for their eyes to actually respond to what I'm saying. If something's going on with a senior, a student of any kind, a lot of times you'll see kind of pale, pasty looking skin. Their eyes will be a little dazed. Their response, whether it be an auditory, visual, or physical response, will be delayed. They might have, especially like if you're teaching any kind of heated yoga for your regular students, their skin might actually start to feel clammy and cool. Even in a heated class, they might stop sweating. They might start overly sweating or shaking. These are all signs to really look for in class. And so when we're dealing with prenatal, And senior yoga practitioners were really a little more attuned to those exact things. A lot of our seniors have issues with heart problems and stuff like that. So, another thing that I wouldn't do with seniors or prenatal, and I'll go on to why I don't do this with prenatal in just a second, but a lot of upside down stuff. So even a lot of down dog, right? Heart problems and stuff. You really want to be gentle enough on the heart that it is staying in its own time, at their own work level. And so going upside down and down dog and stuff can be okay with seniors, but really always give them an option to go to child's pose when they feel it. As a matter of fact, with seniors, I would give them the option of the low end. They're not trying to work out, then they're trying to get their yoga on, right? And so when I'm looking at my yoga students, what I really want to see out of my seniors is keeping their a little bit of their strength. So I don't treat them with kid gloves. And in reality, mentally at 48, I still see myself like my avatar's aged, but like the soul inside me is still like 22, right? And so, I wouldn't want anybody to treat me with kid gloves. I'd want them to treat me like another adult, like any other adult. And that's one of the things that we get into with our seniors. We start treating them like children, right? Don't do that. Give them something. If they want to do a little bit of core work and they want to do a little bit of work, give them something that they can do. Just realize that, 2 feet are going to be more stable. More light's going to be more stable. Having a wall close is going to give them confidence and stability to maybe work a little bit harder. And so the way that I run a senior class is we do the first part of the class is mostly standing, and then the last half of the class is mostly on the floor. If I do start off on the floor, I might stay on the floor for the whole entirety of the class. But more than anything, seniors are still just adults. Their avatar has just changed. Senior classes, being a power yoga instructor, I used to, it's my love to just teach like how many arm balances can I fly into in every class, right? But as I got to know more and more of my senior students and really, really started to grow older myself, I love that power class, but there is something so beautiful and so genuine about being where you're at in your life and practicing from that place. And that is one of the beautiful things that a senior class gives you. And let me tell you, coming from someone who's an orphan, and I don't have any family, a lot of my seniors became my mama, and they became peers. And so senior yoga groups are freaking wonderful. All right. And so basically you can do warrior one, warrior two. They're going to be able to do the majority of foundational postures that you would do with a beginner class. Just don't plank chaturanga, up dog, down dog with them, right? Maybe teach cobras, maybe teach bridges. We're teaching the lower end, right? So going to the prenatal aspect, same thing. Women have been having babies for millennia. As long as we've been in existence, women have been having babies, right? Women know how to listen to their own body, right? So these are my don'ts with prenatal yoga. They're really not trying to work out either. They might be trying to stay healthy, right? So this is my personal role in my studio. There is no legitimate reason why, but if you have not been a practitioner of my studio for a year or more, the first 12 weeks of yoga or first 12 weeks of pregnancy, I won't let you in my yoga class. Why? Is anything going to happen to you because of yoga for the first trimester? No. You'll be just fine. Yoga is not going to cause any problems. However, if something does happen, because the first 3 months are the most delicate in a pregnancy, I guarantee you yoga will be to blame, because it's such a heart-wrenching space that as you're going through all these layers, as the mother is going through all layers of grief, she is going to look at everything she did that could have caused that. And if you are her yoga class, you're on that list. And so I really enjoy, and plus, look, first 3 months for most moms are not, you're nauseous, you're fatigued, you're getting used to all the changes and stuff. Just take a freaking break for 3 months, right? If you had been a practitioner in my studio, I would have this talk with you, right? So that you would understand that you're taking this on yourself and da, 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 da. The rule is generally with prenatal, don't do anything after getting pregnant that you didn't do before. So don't decide to take up yoga all of a sudden because you're pregnant. You know, do what you did before. All of a sudden you're getting in shape because you're pregnant, right? No. So generally I will guide my prenatal yoga uh, students to my senior yoga class, because we want to work on maintaining some flexibility and strength without really working out. We're really focused on the breath work and the mind work, right? And we're focused on feeling good. And that's what the seniors are going for. Chair yoga is wonderful for prenatal mamas. Restorative, Iyengar based yoga is what we tend to use in senior yoga classes, also perfectly appropriate for our prenatals. The things that you will hear about prenatal is that after about the 5th month that you do not want to do deep twisting. It can cause a little bit of, especially if they're really getting at it because their back hurts and stuff, it can cause some stuff that I've never seen happen, but they said it can cause a little tearing and stuff. I haven't seen it. I've never heard of it. But because we're always practicing on the safe side, don't do extremely deep twists with your overly pregnant yoga practitioners. Half the time, they're really not going to be able to do that much twist anyway with that big belly, but don't try to make them do it, right? The other aspect is that things like down dog and stuff will get harder, right? But I'm going to go back to the statement about my seniors. I do not teach inversions. And when I say inversions, I mean headstand, supported shoulder stand in the center of the room, not the one up against the wall or legs up the wall. You know, any kind of arm balance, crow, any of that, handstands, headstands, back bends. I'm not doing that with my seniors, and I'm not doing that with my pregnant women. Mostly because their body is changing so quickly that even if they had a handstand practice prior, their body and their center of gravity and the flexibility of the joints is in such flux that they don't have the auto correct if they fall out, and also they're starting to get this belly that they can't auto correct around, and they are setting themselves up for big time injury, because the center of any kind of inversion, the center of focus, the center of power is the abs, right? The upper and lower abs. If you are blown out with a pregnant belly, you have no center to hold on to. So headstands, handstands and stuff, I do not teach them in my class. I don't know any experienced intelligent yogi who has taught that type of inversion in class. With that being said, will you see pregnant women doing handstands on Instagram, you bet your bottom dollar you will. Will you see them doing back bends? Yeah. You see a lot of people doing a lot. I've seen pregnant women smoking on Instagram too. So it doesn't mean that you, just because you can, doesn't mean you should. So, you know, those are kind of the caveats. Also, the laying on your back after 5 months because the baby is compressing the vagus vein. Safety in your class. I have my students after about 5 months not lay down flat for long periods of time, like in between bridges or for hip openers or in meditation. I'll have them just prop on a bolster a little bit or even lay on their side to do the hip openers um, or meditation. As someone who's had 2 kids, I cannot tell you how many times I woke up in the middle of the night on flat on my back because that was the most comfortable. You're just not supposed to be responsible for it as a yoga instructor, right? So those would be the caveats. That's how you treat people in your class. I would inspire your prenatal students to really spoil themselves and not worry about doing abs because those abs are blown out anyway. It's not as though if you did core work and then you had the baby and then you're going to come out with 6-pack abs. That's not how it works. You're still going to have to do core work at the end anyway. So why do it now? All right. All right, guys. So that's kind of a rundown of senior yoga, prenatal yoga, and how to deal with those students in your class. If you want a more in-depth workshop on what we're doing, poses, and how to incorporate and what some of the modifications are for each one of these clientele, look for us in our workshops or on YouTube or on Facebook. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think or what you want to know. Bye, guys. Let me see here. Your eyes go as you age too, people. Oh, Lord. We are ending this meeting. Bye, guys.